Pete Marocco, Executive Director of the Dallas Hero Initiative. Welcome to Ion Politics. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk. Some Dallas council members are blaming the Dallas Hero Initiative for potentially pushing away Dallas Police Chief Eddie Garcia from the city. What do you say to that?
So predictable, typical spinning, looking for excuses and scapegoats where they have simply failed. Clearly, there is a complete lack of leadership on the city council. There's a lack of leadership in the city manager's office. You've got perpetual lies about the budget impact, about slipping standards, about anything they can do to obfuscate the fact that they violated the Texas Open Meetings Act, trying to oppose the will of the people, 170,000 signatures. So it is not surprising at all.
And you're talking about the effort that council members had that was overturned by the Texas Supreme Court to put on alternative amendments to yours.
Well, I wouldn't even call them alternative. I'd call them straight opposition that was conceived in dark. I mean, the Supreme Court slapped this garbage off of the ballot rightly because this was designed in the dark. And how council members like Paula Blackman came out to support it when there wasn't even a single argument proffered by Gay Donna Willis in support of her amendment. It was also not surprising that the Supreme Court struck this garbage off the ballot.
So let's talk. Why do you think these three amendments will actually benefit residents?
Well, first of all, there's no question that residents need more security. 72% of South Dallas alone is in favor of this pro-police amendment, and only 19% are against. That's more than a 50% spread. So the people of Dallas recognize we need greater security. We need more police. We love our police. And the fact is, Dallas will benefit from better security. We need more accountability to ensure that those standards are going to be put into place. The bottom line is we have been losing hundreds and hundreds of police officers for the past few years. Meanwhile, civilian bureaucrats at City Hall have grown by thousands. And so for people to say that we don't have the budget for these salaries or to make these nonsense arguments is simply not factual. It's not supported in the numbers whatsoever. The fact is security, community security, public safety is the number one concern for the community. And that's what these are going to solve.
Council members we spoke with said that bringing the police department up from 3,100 officers now, up by 900 to 4,000, which one of the amendments requires, would cost $175 million. And then obviously the city would have to maintain that. They told me that this is going to force the city to make budget cuts in other areas because the city doesn't have it, or raise taxes. What do you say to that?
Their math is wrong in a number of different ways. First of all, we believe it's going to cost $185.5 million. We think that it's going to be something that if it were absorbed all at once, which it's not, then it would be something that, first of all, the budget could withstand. Dallas is going to get $350 million more in new revenue, going from a budget of $4.65 billion to $5.05 billion next year. So the suggestion that they don't have room in the budget for more police officers is simply not accurate. Secondly, Dallas police force is about to drop below 3,000 officers. With the departure of Chief Garcia, I expect we may see even more departures. This is an urgent matter. It's a very urgent matter that citizens need to pay attention to get more police officers in our force. And so for them to say that they are not going to have the budget for this, first of all, that cost that they're suggesting is not going to continue year over year, because that includes a lot of costs that are going to be front end loaded. And so this is going to be something that's very affordable. For them to suggest that this is not a priority, meanwhile, they're spending $6.3 million on counting trees. This is just simply unacceptable nonsense.
But let me ask you, I mean, even the police chief, the outgoing police chief, my understanding is, did not support this initiative because he worried about how are they going to get 900 officers. Number one, the city has had, like other cities, have had problems attracting police officers. And two, graduating all these people and getting them up to a standard of the Dallas Police Department. Sounds like sounds great on paper, but then when you actually put it into process, it's unworkable. And what police chief would want to come here given those constraints? What do you say to
So
that?
first of all, there's a couple of things in your statement I need to disagree with. It's not unworkable. And I'm not going to put words in Chief Garcia's mouth. We love Chief Garcia. We applaud his extreme creativity in just completely depleted resources. And I really want to continue to clarify the statement that Chief Garcia made was that he could not absorb 900 police officers in a single year. We have not proposed that. We have
Oh,
not proposed that.
there's no timetable?
Well, we've estimated it might take 3 to 5 years. We want this to happen with a reliable standard that's responsible, where you can maintain high standards and be done responsibly. We continue to say that over, but the people who are advocating against this continue to put misinformation out there that this is an effort coming from outside of Dallas with unreasonable expectations, improper timelines. It's all nonsense that they continue to use to push misinformation out there about this. So to be very clear, I have not heard what you're saying, that people continue to put words in Chief Garcia's mouth. People continue to put words in other leaders' mouth. And so we're going to continue to fight on what the facts are. The facts are that for the last few years, Dallas has been trying to get from 3,500 officers to 4,000 officers. And instead, we're about to drop below 3,000. We need to get to a ratio of 3 officers to every 1,000 citizens.
And I mean, to be clear, this is what people are telling me. These are not my statements. This is what I've heard from council members. So
Sure.
I don't want you to think I'm weighing in on this. I'm not. I'm asking you to respond to what's out there. But I did want to ask you, because the council members have said this is a bunch, and you alluded to it, bunch of millionaires who don't even live in the city pushing this. So what do you say to that?
It's not even worth responding to. This is 170,000 Dallas residents who are pushing this. 170,000 Dallas residents signed these petitions. That is what's driving this.
But
So
did the people know the exact details and how this was going to work when you were telling them this? Or was this simply an idea, hey, let's get more officers. We're going to have 4,000 officers. Who's going to say no to that?
as a matter of fact, we made sure that all of the language, the proposed ballot language, the entire amendment language, was completely displayed to every single person who signed this petition. It's right there on the same sheet that they signed.
And some of the other provisions talk about exactly giving citizens the right to file suit against the city if they're not conforming to the charter, ordinances, state law, et cetera, and giving people the power through surveys to determine whether the city manager should be fired or should be given a bonus. Is that right?
Correct. We are really excited about the opportunity for citizens to hold the city council accountable. The bottom line is any type of civil action that's going to take place is still going to have merit. It's still going to have to meet standards, and you can file a frivolous lawsuit right now. Nothing's going to change about, people's desire to file a lawsuit that has merit or a lawsuit that does not have merit. The bottom line is if the city council is violating the law, then citizens need to have a recourse.
What about, does that, as far as the city manager reports to the city council, who are accountable to the public? So why not? What is wrong with that process? I mean, is this going to totally upend that, in the sense of, here the city's trying to attract a new city manager, doing a nationwide search? From that standpoint, who would want to come here to lead the city, given that, their bonus, or they may be fired based on a survey of residents?
I say they're talking to the wrong people. If it is a person who's not interested in accountability, we don't want you. Kim Tolbert, if you don't want to be held accountable to standards, to providing results for the people of Dallas, we don't want you. I have no problem saying that. We need real leaders who are interested in real impacts and outcomes, and we have not had that. So there's lots of great people that we could recruit if we're looking at the right people. But if you're interested in recruiting a bureaucrat who's just interested in fiscal cycles and growing more pet projects and hiring thousands of more bureaucrats, we don't want you. We're not going to benefit from you, and you're going to bankrupt our city.
And basically, you're saying that the council has failed to hold a city manager accountable. That's basically what you're saying. Is that right?
Not only has the city council failed to hold the city manager, but the council, many of them are the culprits. They're by design have created a poor standard. They have created a bad expectation. They've designed what their outcomes are that are not helpful for the people of Dallas. And the people of Dallas are telling them very clearly what their priorities are, but they're just not doing it. And so you've got council members like Adam Bazaldua that are it's just continually going out there and creating misinformation, advocating against the police and coming in against these amendments, and then even proposed another one of these garbage amendments that the Supreme Court struck off. And so the bottom line is, I think it's by design that they have different standards that are completely contrary to the interests and priorities of the people of Dallas.
And my last question to you, just going back to what I'd asked you before, what was the impetus for starting this? Who are the people, aside from yourself, who got all this together, who felt that this was an important initiative?
Let me tell you something. It's headlines. It's headline after headline that the Dallas Police Department is not able to respond to any property crime. That Police Department's response times are 50%, 200% slower than
Right.
the other
But who,
metropolitan police departments.
but
I'm answering your question.
aside from yourself, though. Okay, okay.
But I can tell you that the very first donor to this was a woman, and I'm not going to disclose her name, but she's a woman here in Dallas that came to me and said, I go into my shop and it's getting robbed twice a day by the same guy, and they're not even filing police reports because there's not going to be any response and there's not going to be any prosecution. I'm scared and I'm not going back. And guess what? That shop's not there anymore. So all of the donors are people whose real lives and businesses are being affected by this. And the bottom line is, it's all people in Dallas. This suggestion that's continually misrepresented by Paula Blackman and all these others is really ridiculous. So look, we don't want to fight with city council members. All right. We want something better for Dallas, and we think they should support this. But the bottom line is, if they're going to pick a fight, then we'll meet them there.
And is there any inkling, any thought to, come out and say, hey, these are the people who came to us to say, hey, we're concerned about this. We think this kind of initiative needs to come forward?
Many of our donors have come forward. We had another event yesterday. We're expecting more great events next week. We're getting great support from business leaders, and I'm leaving it to them to disclose their participation because, frankly, many of them have been harassed. And so we've got some people that have really aggressively just started stalking them, harassing them, threatening them. So the bottom line is, I'm certainly not going to disclose individual donors' names who are going to be harassed by opponents. So I will leave it up to them, and many of them talk about their support for us. And we're just really proud for all the people in Dallas who are supporting us.
Pete Marocco, Executive Director of the Dallas Hero Initiative. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate the opportunity.